You're listening to the Industry Alchemist podcast. The definition of alchemy is a seemingly magical process of transformation or creation. This podcast exists to hear the stories of entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders doing just that in their industry. We hear about the journey of the brave souls carving a new path, moving their industry and our lives forward in a seemingly magical way. This episode is brought to you by OfficeChief.com. Office Chief exists to make moving your office easy and painless. Moving an office can be a big hassle. On top of running your company, you're thrown into having to figure out what to do. Hire space planners, furniture companies, movers, IT consultants, the list goes on. It only takes 2 minutes to create a profile, and Office Chief gives you a step-by-step action plan and connects you with the top vendors in your market. Moving your office? Log on to OfficeChief.com and make it easy. I'm your host, Matt Brower, co-founder and managing broker of Column Commercial Partners, helping companies save money on their real estate. I'm also founder and CEO of OfficeChief.com, an online resource for businesses moving their office or updating their space.
Appreciate you being on the show this morning.
Yeah, I'm excited. Are we on? Like we're on?
Yeah, so we'll call this the official start. Yeah. So actually, I was on your LinkedIn this morning, and I saw that you are quite an educated individual. You got your undergrad in marketing and business, and then later you got your MBA, and then later you got your master's in psychology and communication. Is that right?
That is right. And it was an interesting journey. My undergrad, I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud to the public. My undergrad I did because that's what you're supposed to do. So it wasn't a time in my life where I was excited about learning something and growing as an individual. It was like, oh, okay, I have to go to college. So I guess I'll do this easier major and just do marketing and business. And because that came easy to me. So then I got into the workforce and realized I really actually did love learning, and I really did want to learn and know more about business. So I went back and got my MBA. And then my husband and I started a company 11 years ago now, that was for divorced parents raising kids together. And I realized that as with all startups, I was wearing multiple hats, doing the marketing, doing the sales, and also support. And I realized when people called in about the product and had a question, they actually also wanted to talk about their life and their end of their marriage and how they were feeling and what they should do with their kids. And I thought, this is an opportunity for me to learn and grow and be able to support these people in a way that that really helps them. So I went back and got my master's in psychology and communication for that reason.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. And it served me very well. Everything I have done in my life, every job I've had, every experience I've had, every educational step I've taken has brought me to this place to serve people the way I'm serving them now in my current business.
That's great. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to getting more into that. I also got my marketing degree. I for some reason, I always wanted to be a commercial real estate broker. I just made that decision when I was 16 years old.
16?
Yeah.
You knew what it was at 16.
I did. I was a pizza cook my first job, and the manager wasn't going to let me have the night off to go to the dance or something like that. And I thought, wow, I cannot work for somebody else. This does not, I can't handle being told what I can and can't do. So my dad was in commercial construction. I think maybe I got exposed to real estate and construction through that. And I decided, okay, I want to be successful. To me at the time, it meant I want to make lots of money. I want flexibility with my time, and I arrived at commercial real estate broker. I said, "Oh, it would be cool to be the guy in the suit at the construction site. What is that job?" So the degree I got, I decided, okay, what are the supporting degrees that I can get to make real estate career successful. I am not a finance guy. My brain doesn't work that way. It doesn't excite me. So I decided marketing was probably a good thing to major in. And the interesting thing about marketing for me is that it is so much psychology. That's what it is, human behavior and psychology.
Yes, very much so. Absolutely. That's a huge part of it. And also the ability to connect with people and get into their mindset, their space, and try to think about who they are and what drives them.
Yeah.
And also empathize with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, hear the problem before you try to sell a solution to it.
Yes. Yeah. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah. So after you kind of got your education, it looks like you went through several jobs doing several things within marketing. And then that's when you took the leap and started Co-Families or supported Co-Families with Rob. And then, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So I like to tell this story because I have this weird pride around the fact that my career started with Hewlett Packard when Hewlett Packard was a great company to work for. So it does date me, but back in the 80s, Hewlett Packard had the HP way. And to me, it was how I was indoctrinated into the corporate world. And that has stayed with me forever because the focus was on such an amazing culture. It was such a rich culture, very focused on the employees and providing education. And it wasn't just training for the company, it was growth, personal growth. And they believed so much in the people that fueled the company. They put a lot of effort into the culture, and you could see it. It made a huge difference. So I have this weird pride that I started life at HP in the HP way. And then I went to startups, and those are the companies that you're talking about. I went to one startup, and I was there for 5 years in Colorado Springs, and then I had a baby, and then I was at another startup that we grew to the point where we were acquired by a Bay Area company.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, the whole span of that was about 10 years. And then I met Rob, and he's an entrepreneur. Rob is my husband, for those listening.
Yeah. He and I go way back.
He and Matt know each other well.
Yeah.
And Rob is a serial entrepreneur, and he had just started the idea of a company for divorced parents. And so I joined him in that, and we launched that, and life as an entrepreneur, we kind of ran that for a little bit, and then he brought on another partner so that I could go and bring in a paycheck while we were doing the startup.
Right.
And I was, I've mainly been at the executive level in most of the startup companies that I've been working with. And I love that because I love growing people. I love also doing, and that's what you do at a startup. You wear multiple hats. So,
absolutely. I know that well.
Yes. And that's why we're talking today. All entrepreneurs are listening to this. They know the many, many hats that we all wear.
Yeah, right. Were there any lessons anything that surprised you, any lessons you learned at Co-Families, at your first kind of entrepreneurial experience that, you were able to take into now what you're doing?
Absolutely.
Besides working with your spouse.
Yes. And I'll be honest, I said after that experience, I said, I never want to work with you again. And not because I don't love you, but because I do love you. And I don't want to have that be an issue in our lives and have it just consume our entire lives.
That's got to be hard. It's got to be really hard.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, we're working together again. So we managed to figure out how to do that. So the lessons from Co-Families, there were several. I would say the biggest lesson was we were trying to be very altruistic. And I think that that is noble. And in that, we decided that we did not want to go work directly with lawyers who were dealing with conflict, because we were really about trying to not create conflict, but to mitigate conflict between the families.
Yeah.
So we were looking to work with mediators and people who were really trying to create peace rather than create conflict. And I'm not saying all lawyers create conflict, but it's we just didn't kind of want to go that route and be associated with that. So that was a big lesson. That was a dumb thing for us to do, looking back. That's where the money is. Mediators don't have money.
Okay.
We really want to charge the families that much because they're already in financial hardship in the middle of this process. So that was lesson number one. You do have to go where the market is. You just do.
So really defining the target, who your customer is.
Yeah. And while I liked that we were being altruistic about it, it didn't serve anyone because we didn't eventually keep the company alive because of it. So and we had 20,000 users. We had a lot of people on the system without hardly any marketing. So that was a big mistake on our part. Second thing I would say is we spent too much time in development and not enough time out in the field. So we did listen to the market and bring back the idea that bring back the feedback and build it into the product. But we didn't go get funding. We tried to bootstrap, and that elongated our development process to the point where we just couldn't get things out fast enough. We really had one developer. We had one person contracting for us on the UI, and we couldn't iterate fast enough to get things out there. So those are pretty big stumbling blocks.
Okay, no, that's great. Those are great lessons. I'm actually working through that conversation for one of my projects right now.
It's tough. It's tough. And if you've been a serial entrepreneur and you've raised money in the past, which Rob had, he's raised tens of thousands, hundreds of millions of dollars in his career, he really wanted to bootstrap and have 100% of the company. And it also, as entrepreneurs, we all know that when you go raise money, that's like a full-time job. So it distracts you from the business. There are pros and cons to all of this. And looking back, I think we should have raised money at the time. It felt like the right decision to not raise money.
Okay. So want to jump into Serenity app. When we first met, you kind of told me the story of how this came to be, and it's it's just a great story, and it shows the passion that you have for what you're doing now. Can you share with the listeners what that, as much as you want, what that was?
Absolutely. And I'm kind of an open book about this because I think too many people keep these feelings inside. End of life is a very difficult thing. And especially when you lose someone to Alzheimer's, where they're still in front of you, but they're not.
Right.
So that's why they call it the long goodbye. It's a long grieving process when the person is still right there with you physically, but not mentally. So 10 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and my parents had a very traditional marriage where my mom took care of my dad most of their life. And slowly she couldn't do the things that she had always done. I am the only girl in the family. I have 3 amazing brothers. But because I'm the girl, my dad started to lean on me a little bit to do some of the things that mom took care of. Just the logistical things, coordinating, house cleaning, getting things, prescriptions picked up, getting them to the doctor, starting to really coordinate care for both of them. And about 5 years into that, we as a family decided mom needed to go into memory care. So mind you, while I'm doing all of this, I have a full-time job. I have a husband. I have 3 adult children who live with us. They were late teens at the time. So I have a very full, busy life myself. And now I've added on this additional layer of care, which I did fully out of love and had no issue doing it. When I did transition them into a home, we first put mom into memory care. I thought, oh, I'm going to get some relief here. This is great. And what I learned, and what a lot of people don't realize, is yes, you get relief on some level, and on another level, you get a whole new layer of work, because now you have more people to communicate and coordinate with. You don't just put mom into memory care and you get to go visit every Sunday. It used to be.
Yeah, things get taken care of right now.
Right. And it used to be that is how they were marketed, because that's what the goal was to give family relief. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's moving away from that hospitality model and more into a care partner model. And I'm an early adopter of everything. So I might be an early adopter here, but I bet there are some women around my age who are listening who are saying, oh no, I did this very same thing.
Right.
I started looking at it with a business mindset, and I said, I'm actually the family member here who's responsible for my parents. I was POA, power of attorney, along with one of my brothers. And I started to think of myself as the CEO of the care team for my parents. Wasn't my job to provide the care. It was my job to oversee, make sure they were getting the care, make sure all the communication was happening, make sure the team was in place. The team was doing what the team needed to do.
All the different types of doctors, all the prescriptions, all the specialists, the adult care folks, everyone. Wow.
Okay. Everyone. Yes. Thank you for calling that out. Physical therapists. The other thing people don't realize is when someone moves in, we eventually then moved my dad into assisted living in the same community. He had type 2 diabetes. They don't provide the insulin shots. So we had to bring home health in to do that. So when you move someone into a home, that doesn't mean they take care of absolutely everything. You're still bringing in the outside services that you would have to bring if they were living at home.
Really? Yeah, that I did not know. Wow.
Yeah. Unless they're in a place, a skilled nursing, which people used to call nursing homes.
Okay.
Nursing homes is an old school term. Don't use that.
Okay.
Skilled nursing.
Also, I did not know that also.
Skilled nursing means that they have medical care available 24/7.
Within their facility.
Assisted living is basically a living at home, but in a group environment, like apartment sort of living, where meals are served in a community style. There's activities, there's oversight. They do have RNs and they do pass meds and things like that. So they manage all of that. But if it's anything specialized, like giving shots, they don't do that. Now, every facility is a little bit different. So, I need to have that caveat out there. But what I realized, and it was little things, Matt, it was like, I'm going to admit that I'm a drug smuggler now. So there was a time that my dad's Ambien prescription ran out. He'd been on Ambien for 10, 12, 14 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
Without it. They could not get the long-term care pharmacy, and the assisted living could not coordinate to get his Ambien over that day for whatever reason. Somebody dropped the ball somewhere. I don't know who it was. I didn't care. What I did was I took my husband's Ambien and I snuck in and I gave my dad Ambien every night until they sorted it out. And those are the things that, as the CEO of the care team, you have to be in the know and in communication for the quality of care to be there. And that's what Serenity is about.
Yeah, so talk more about Serenity, the solution, what you created to solve this issue of how do we coordinate all of these different people and tasks and all that.
Yeah. So, first of all, I must say, and anyone in senior care will say this, this industry is about 10 years behind in technology. So when you start looking at senior care models, it's a very hospitality driven model. It's not a technology driven model. And when I realized that there are so many places for communication to drop with all the people that you're trying to coordinate care with, and they're not communicating with each other, and they're not proactively communicating with family either, which leaves family kind of feeling out of the loop. And then we all start to wonder. I realized that we've solved a lot of these problems in the corporate world. Geographically dispersed teams, we've solved the communication problem for that. We've solved the communication problem for siloed departments or companies cross collaborating. And I thought, why don't we take some of the things that we've learned there and apply it to this domain?
Yeah.
And you can't do it. You can't just take those tools and apply them to this domain, because this domain is very complex. It's a combination of hospitality, real estate, healthcare, among many other things, but those are kind of the three industries sort of melded together.
Yeah, which all have their own regulations, requirements, laws. Yeah.
Yes. So it is very domain specific. So we took those principles though, and we created a messaging platform that's HIPAA compliant, that allows the communities. And so I'll say a long-term senior care community would be the buyer for Serenity. They would offer this messaging service to the families, and that allows the families to have access to the care team. So now I can message the care team when I want to, ask them a question, they can respond. Usually there's some sort of agreement in place that they'll respond within 4 hours or 8 hours. It doesn't have to be instant, because these people are running around doing a lot of things.
Right.
But it solves that problem of the phone tag that can go on literally for a week or two, or lost email threads, and that happens a lot, or emailing someone at a generic email address like wellnessdirector@seniorcarecenter.com.
Right.
You don't know who you're talking to. And as a family member, we want to know who's on the other end of this, who's reading it. Because I want to say, hi, Alice, or, I don't want to say, hi, wellness director.
Yeah. Right. You want some personal touch and relationship to be there.
Exactly. And, for me, it's about, we really need to stop in the senior care industry and rethink our family communication. So 80% of lawsuits that are brought against communities are brought by family members and are related to lack of or poor communication.
80%.
80%. Wow. We can stop that. We can absolutely drop that number. There's always going to be people who are going to be litigious, but we can drop that number down to next to nothing if we just proactively talk to the family, share with the family what's going on. It's when, as human beings, here's the psychology part, as human beings, when we don't know what's happening because we can't physically be there, we can trust for a while, but pretty soon that trust erodes if we aren't hearing the things we want to hear. And I guarantee you, there will be a point where you call up mom or dad or spouse or aunt or whoever you have, your loved one, and you say, how's it going? And they say, oh, they haven't fed me in days. I haven't been showered in weeks, and nobody's been here to visit me in months. And it's not true. It's an inaccurate report. However, it's what they believe in their heart.
Right.
That's where their mind space is. If you're a family member in another state and you hear that from dad, you're going to be on the phone. What the heck is going on there?
Right. Yeah.
So the consistent communication and the, hey, your dad did great today. Here's a picture of your dad. Here's the activities that we did today. I found out after my mom passed that, and both my parents passed last year, I found out after both of their passings, actually, some of the things that they had been doing that I never knew. I never knew about. And I wish I would have known, because it also would have given me, as the family member, something to talk with them on the phone about when I couldn't actually be there, to say, hey, Dad, I heard that you went and you played poker with the poker group tonight. Tell me, did you win? What game was your favorite game? Who do you like there? Do you have some allies? Do you have some nemesis? We could have just had a conversation.
Right.
Instead of, and it could have been more meaningful than, oh, I'm sorry that you feel like no one's visited you, Dad. I was there yesterday and we had sub sandwiches. It feels like it's a whole different feel of conversation.
Yeah, it reminds them. You can remind them that of all the things that occurred and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm so sorry for your losses last year.
Thank you. It's been interesting. It's been a journey. We kind of talked about early on in this podcast that long goodbye can be really hard.
Yeah.
Went through it with Mom, and it was a good long span. You lose bits of them through the process.
Yeah.
And at the end, my mom was nonverbal for the last 2 years of her life.
Oh, wow.
And she didn't recognize me at all. But I feel that she had a spark in her that knew that I was someone who loved her. And that's all I cared about. So,
yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had a family member that has dealt with like full Alzheimer's, but my grandfather certainly had pretty, I don't know what stage, but dementia. Yeah, there were times where it was like, wow, there's, it's tragic. It's really tough to be around. So I acknowledge you for staying strong and positive and actually creating something like Serenity app to help, foster a more friendly, loving, communicative environment for that situation.
Thank you. Yes. It can be a very difficult time for families. And I've always believed, honestly, that communities should have a social worker assigned to every family the moment a resident moves in.
Mm.
Because so much that happens and families don't know and they aren't aware what the processes are. And we're left to just discover it on our own most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, we really need to rethink the family and care team coordination and communication.
Yeah.
And families, you have the opportunity to do this. If you have a loved one in a senior care community, step up and say, I want to be a care partner. I want to know, how are you going to communicate with me? How are we going to make this a win-win for both of us? I'm not putting Mom or Dad or spouse in here to have you just take care of them and me go on with my life. I love them and I'm here for them and I want to be a partner in this.
Right.
And that's really, really important. And I have to say that perception is reality. The other side to this is, if family doesn't hear from you, as the community, if family doesn't hear from you, we're going to make up the worst. Not intentionally, it's human nature. So give us an opportunity to see the amazing quality of care that you're providing that we don't see on a daily basis.
Yeah. Another example of that is what we're all working through right now. Being in communication, having Zoom conversations, sorry, I just got a notice on my phone here. Zoom conversations, having calls with friends, that's important right now. Just being in touch. It's much more difficult to not do that and just be all in your head and watch the disastrous news every day and everything.
And become isolated and depressed. And
exactly.
I'll say just one thing to that, and I know we want to wrap up. I also podcast and do Facebook Lives in the senior care industry. We interview trailblazers in senior care about what they're doing to make change for the future. And we discussed with one of them how the COVID-19 shelter in place orders that are in effect for almost all of the United States now if you think about how it's affected you, magnify that by 1,000. And that's what an older adult feels when they move into a residential care community.
Wow.
They go out, they don't, and they aren't as tech savvy, many of them. That's generalization, but many of them are not as tech savvy to be able to just hop on Zoom. So,
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're very isolated. You're very cut off from the things you've known and loved all your life. So hopefully that helps people create some empathy for how it would feel.
Yes, and what's the name of your podcast where you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's separate from Serenity. It's a whole separate thing. It's called Mavericks of Senior Living.
Okay.
And I have a co-podcaster, Francis Lagasse, and he's in the industry. He owns 8 memory care homes. So he's the domain expert. I'm more on the technical side and the care side and the family side. So we bring both sides to the conversation. And it's really interesting to talk with the amazing leaders out there who are really blazing trails.
Yeah. So the listeners should absolutely check out Mavericks of Senior Living?
Of Senior Living, yep.
Okay. Check out that podcast. And then with regard to Serenity, is this a product that me as a caretaker brings to the conversation, or is it a facility-driven conversation? How do people get in touch? How do they help spread the word? How, if I want this as part of my care team for somebody I love, how do I go about doing that?
If you're a family member, go to the community, talk to the executive director and say, I want a way to communicate with you via HIPAA compliant messaging. I have an app here that I know about. If you're not already using it, I would like for you to use it. This is how I want to start communicating with you.
Okay.
If you're a community, you should already be, especially in COVID-19, looking for tools that allow you to have better communication with family.
Yeah.
So if you're a community, please go look at serenityapp.com. We're actually in the middle of rebranding to Serenity Engage. So you can Google serenityapp.com or serenityengage.com and they'll take you to the same place. And right now, during COVID-19 lockdowns, family are not allowed into the facilities.
No.
So Serenity is offering 3 months, no contracts, no commitments. Use it free. Just get the family connected. That is my number one goal during this time. Keep the family connected to the care team. And this is especially important, crucial when you can't trust mom or dad's self-report anymore. So if mom's in memory care or dad has dementia, or you just call up and you get the non-truths, but you get their state of mind.
Yeah.
This is when it is absolutely crucial that the care team is in communication with family.
Yeah, so key. Wow.
And not phone tag and crazy email threads that everybody loses track of.
Yeah. Well, that's great. It's such an incredible product and so timely right now, especially as you mentioned, ways to stay in communication and keep the care going, especially when we physically are not able to go into these facilities because they're the most at risk. Couple last questions here. What, working with Rob again on a project, are you guys doing anything differently? Have you put in place any structures, accountabilities that kind of keep the flow?
Yes.
Talk about that.
First, we had a really long talk about how we would manage it in our marriage and our relationship, and then how we would create that the working relationship. At Co-Families, he was the CEO, and I was his worker bee.
Okay.
Serenity is my company, so I'm the CEO, and he's actually doing what he also loves to do. He's a great CEO. He's an amazing businessman, amazing strategist, and he's also a phenomenally incredible engineer, software engineer. He wrote the code for most of his products, several of which had big hits, especially in the dot-com era. So he's kind of back to doing that right now, and he's loving it. And then he puts his head up and we talk about strategy, and then he kind of goes back and I run the business side. So I think, too, we've matured in the 10 years we've been married. So as a couple, we've matured and we've been able to navigate conflict and head off issues before they become big issues much better than we could have at our early stage of marriage.
That's great.
It's actually been quite fun, and it's enriched our relationship, which is a surprise, a wonderful surprise to me.
Yeah, that's incredible. And two very successful, well-known entrepreneurs in certainly the Colorado market, but I'm sure nationally as well, with some of the companies you guys have been at, teamed up. I cannot wait to see what you guys do with Serenity Engage. And to have such passion for what you're working on too is just going to do nothing but make that even more successful. So
thank you, Matt. I'm totally out to transform the way we partner around our older adults.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. I'll let you get back to it and stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we can actually sit across and have a coffee face to face soon.
I look forward to that. Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate you.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.